I was very enthused when the Prime Minister announced Ankawa as a Christian district because it is consistent with the kind of choices and the leadership we've seen in the past. The Kurdistan region of Iraq has been a bright spot for religious freedom for a very long time, with a beautiful history of pluralism. And this is in stark contrast to a lot of the countries in the region. So we know this is only because the leadership has been intentional in building a society that respects all religions and ethnicities, and that is why this has been such a great place for all the different religious communities. Yeah, it's important the international community understand what a refuge this has been for really all religious communities, different sects of Muslims, Syriac Christians, Yazidis, Zoroastrians, Sabian Mandindians, Baha'is, Kakais, and of course Baha'is are illegal in the rest of Iraq. So the fact that they're accepted as equal members of society is so important. And of course, when ISIS came and forced so many to flee from the Nineveh Plains, all of those communities, including moderate Muslims that had to flee these extremist elements, the Kurdistan region opened their doors, and I think at one point a couple of million refugees or IDPs, some refugees from Syria as well, were all part of the community and safe. And so that was a huge commitment from the government to be able to protect those that were fleeing violence. And it's important the international community realize the sacrifice that really the government and all the people of the Kurdistan region have made to support those during those tough years. That's a very good question, and certainly we have seen so far they have protected religious minorities. They made that commitment as they were capturing Aleppo and went on to capture other places. Um, but we do know there have been some attacks against different communities. We've seen some of the Greek Orthodox communities and Alawite communities, but it seems to be extreme elements from these forces, certainly not endorsed by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham or their leadership. But we have seen a contrast for the Syrian National Army, the Turkish-backed militias. They have been attacking Kurds, Yazidis, Christians in the Sheba region, and in the other areas in northeast Syria that they have invaded. So that's the contrast that we are seeing. But for the HTS caretaker government right now, everyone is watching and hoping that their promise, they'll keep their word and they'll protect the minorities. It's important that, as you said, the international community, not just to protect the lives of minorities, but protect the rights of minorities. So all these religious components are indigenous to Syria and are a part of the Syrian fabric of their society. And so they should have equal rights. So Christians, Yazidis, and other religious and ethnic minorities should have the same rights, Alawites, that the majority religion has. And so for the international community should hold that standard to this government and not lift sanctions and provide the kind of business support that they need until they have proven and written a constitution that protects all of these rights. Exactly. So we should see all of the religious communities represented in the government, and that's the only way that we're going to see the society that's going to have respect for one another and have the kind of religious freedom conditions that will allow and help build a cohesive society, which is what the people of Syria deserve after so many years of being under the Assad regime and dealing with such horrific, oppressing violence and conditions. So what they want is freedom now. They want a chance to be a part of their own government. And the international community needs to push for this new government that's going to come in after this HTS caretaker government be one that's inclusive, that includes everybody. And so far, we haven't seen that in this caretaker government, but we're hoping that the next government has that. But I think the international community needs to be watching very carefully and very closely. Exactly. And it's also important that the Northeast be considered. This is the one place of Syria that has religious freedom, where you have a multi-ethnic, multi-religious government that all is in positions together with half the leaders being women. That there is an agreement that allows them to continue with the society they've created, but as a part of Syria, not separate of Syria. So I'm hopeful that things can go forward in a positive way. I know a lot of people are very concerned because HTS's history as a terrorist organization, history even now being considered an entity of particular concern by the State Department because of their severe violations of religious freedom. Their history gives us reason to pause. But at the same time, we can work towards a peaceful, cohesive Syria and provide the kind of support economically they need to be able to recover from years of oppression. But I am glad that people are watching so closely to make sure the religious and ethnic components of Syria are all included, not just safe, but safe is important, but also equal members of society so that everyone, this could be a Syria for everyone.